What's up, guys? Anthony Perfetto here. Today is a pivotal moment on the channel. I have the creator, the lead programmer of Half-Life Advanced Effects. He goes by RIPieces on the internet, but a lot of people might know him by his real name, Dominik Tugend. And I probably said that in the most American way possible. I'm sure Dom will correct me, but I gave it my best, Dom. Anyway. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to talk about the history of Half-Life Advanced Effects, what its original name was, and who the original programmer was, too. Without further ado, Dom, why don't you introduce yourself? How are you today?
I'm okay. I'll introduce myself. I'm Dominik Tugend, 38. Sorry, I can't calculate. And I'm considered the main programmer of Half-Life Advanced Effects. As you know, the Counter-Strike tool for mainly global offensive and also source engine games to make movies.
We wouldn't have the movies we have today without your hard work. And the thing is, you're a volunteer. Like you do all of this in your spare time. You don't get paid for Half-Life Advanced Effects, you know, aside from all the donors that throw some money your way every now and then. But you do all of this out of passion. Why don't you tell the folks how you came across Half-Life Advanced Effects, or as it was called the mirv demo tool back then. Why don't you tell us about Mirv and Monkey and how you got in contact with him and how you picked up the program and started programming for it?
I at one point got into the movie scene by playing videos and also style productions and creative movies.
Go Style Productions. Good shout out there.
Yeah. There was like some way to make camera paths, and that's what I discovered. It was already in the engine, but it was unknown to most people.
Right.
And that was in 2006 at the end of the year, I think. And that was my first contact with the movie scene, really, because before I was passive, and that was the first active thing I did.
People were blown away, and we didn't really know it was you, to be honest, because I remember we wrote an article about it on the Style Productions website, and for you to discover that there was a actual built-in campathing tool in CS 1.6 was mind-blowing and revolutionary almost. So after that happened, how did you meet up with Mirv and Monkey? How did you contact him?
Well, I browsed through the movie making websites, and I saw there was a tutorial about the mirv demo tool, and that got my interest because it was a third-party tool. That there was some problems with the campath in Half-Life, I think. And I found a solution to do that, and I wanted to contribute that, and that was the first chance to contact the author of the mirv demo tool. It was very basic back then, didn't have audio recording, nothing, and audio recording was a real problem back then.
Oh yeah. And, it was fraps, I think, is what we had to use a lot of the time.
Yeah. And at least that was when I got to know him, and I contacted him and contributed this stuff for the campath in Half-Life because it didn't work there for some reason. And then in 2007, I think March or May, he contributed the source code.
Okay, so he released the source code to you. So you didn't have access to the source code until 2007. Okay, so Mirv and Monkey released the source code to you, and he sort of retired, right? I mean, at that point, he was just like, all right, I'm done. I'm stepping away. So
he wanted to do some GUI back then,
right?
But that never really happened.
So the GUI's been in the works for a long time. One day we'll get it, folks. One day. So
hopefully,
what was one of the first things you created for the Mirv demo tool, and what was your first contribution to it after Mirv and Monkey gave it to you?
I think the first important thing I did on my own when I had the source code was the audio stuff. It was really difficult for me, but it worked.
Crazy Fist would probably appreciate you focusing on the audio needs that we had back in the day first, because he's a huge audio guy. Let's skip ahead from 1.6 and let's get into Counter-Strike Go. So Half-Life Advanced Effects wasn't really coded for the source engine, right? I mean, you didn't.
Not at all.
What inspired you to start making Half-Life Advanced Effects for CSGO? What inspired you, or who motivated you, should I say, to...
You know where
you know what I'm doing here. You know where I'm leading you into this next answer. So why don't you tell everybody the story about how Half-Life Advanced Effects came to fruition for Counter-Strike Go? It starts on IRC.
I think there was some guy from Style Productions. I think his name was Anthony or something.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, might be you. So he popped into the channel and asked about it and started bothering a lot. And I think
do you remember my name in IRC during that time?
Not really. I said
it was HLAE for go. No, it was HLAE for go. Do you remember that?
That wasn't it.
And then Dan and I would chase you around IRC and go to the various IRC channels that you were hanging out in and spamming you, trying to get you to create it. Oh my gosh! So you finally gave in. What was the first? Do you remember the first thing you made for Counter-Strike Go?
Yeah, it was what works in most games today, and I think it was the campath.
The campath. So you made the
campath.
So you didn't even make the recording code yet. You went straight into the campath.
It was just cameras too.
Right. Sure. I vividly remember when I started making Memoirs of Titan and Zai and I was making the Uprising. We were trying to hack Counter-Strike to get a green screen out of it. So we were playing with a lot of like the R commands and the CL commands and the SV commands. I always remember doing that. And I'm just like, man, I wish we had what we had for CS 1.6. I was like, I wonder if RIPieces is still around and can do it. So I always remember I was like, you know what, Dan, I'm going to try to find RIPieces. I'm going to try to convince them to make Half-Life Advanced Effects for Go. And so that's when our whole campaign started. And that's why we all sort of, in good fun, sort of chased you around IRC and tried to convince you to do it. So what was it like programming the campathing system for Half-Life Advanced Effects? Did you find it difficult, especially in the Source engine? What difficulties did you run into that you didn't have in the Gold Source engine?
Mainly that I'm bad at math, to be honest, mathematics.
Aren't we all?
Because the campath code is by some guy that worked with spaceships. He's called, I forgot his first name.
Okay.
And he made something that can do really smooth rotations. Otherwise, it would be way worse. And at the time, it was a pretty new thing for me.
Right.
And that was why the turning is so smooth. Not the location. The location is smooth. It's not a problem. But the quaternion interpolation is really smooth. So I got help from him. James McAnnon.
No kidding. You used his algorithm to help you code the camp. That's so cool.
For the rotations, because for the location, you have standard math that you can do easily, and rotations, quaternions was really new to me back then. I said I was bad at math.
Okay.
So I was really happy about to find his code, and he contributed it on the CC0 license.
Incredible. So you were basically teaching yourself as you went along how to do this stuff. You were learning and teaching yourself throughout the last 8 years of this project. I always thought that sort of thing you just had knowledge of. I didn't realize you sort of had to.
Every new feature is usually a way of discovery and learning and doing stuff and figuring out and going wrong a lot, and sometimes.
And I love that about you. I think that's the most endearing personality trait that you have. You're thirsty for knowledge. You're hungry for it, and you go out and you try to get it. I think we need to touch base on the topic that everybody is probably bothering you like on the daily about, and that's the GUI. You mentioned it earlier. Let's can we talk about the GUI? Are we ever going to get one? What's the status of it, and when can we expect it?
I think this year is unrealistic. Maybe next year.
So maybe 2023. And for anyone who doesn't know, GUI is a graphical user interface. It's basically, instead of typing all the commands into console, you can click on the different things and bring up a menu and sort of achieve the same stuff that you're doing now, but with a better interface for the front end user. Yeah,
I actually found one that would have been perfect now, and that's based on Electron, and it would have even an overlay. I coded all that, but then I noticed it has like 272 dependencies, and I don't want that.
And can you explain what dependencies are to the people that may not know?
Yeah, basically it's like a piece of code that someone else wrote. And the other problem with the GUI is mainly you ask people, what do you want? Do you want GUI? And if you ask about the details and stuff, it gets tricky. Some people have some ideas, but most don't know what they want actually.
Well, I mean, it's
make movie button.
That's basically what they want. A big thing that people just need off of the GUI is just taking everything that you do in console and making it into a clickable form on, in a menu form. So, campaths, streams. It's all clickable. It's not something that you have to basically type a code in for.
That's a big problem about HLAE, that the documentation is utterly not good. And
well, that's why
Anthony makes tutorials.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, that's actually one of the main reasons why I started the YouTube channel, is because I wanted to help you teach people and explain to people a lot of what Half-Life Advanced Effects has to offer. I wanted to take the reins of that and really help you explain to people how amazing and how robust this program really is. I think the big question is, what's the future for Half-Life Advanced Effects? What's on the horizon with Half-Life Advanced Effects version 3?
Well, apart from some changements, the main point is really the GUI for Advanced Effects 3. It's the main point for the version step.
HLAE 3 will be the GUI. Got it. But hey, Dom, thank you so much once again. This is awesome. I really appreciate all the time that you gave to me today, and that we all appreciate hearing you talk about the incredible work that you've been doing with the tool. And we can't thank you enough for what you've done for the editing community. You have been a lifesaver. I don't think we could produce close to the quality of frag movies that we make today without your help, without your input, and we wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't have a job probably without you, Dom. So I can't thank you enough. You've changed my life, and you're due for another donation. Everyone, click on that donate button on your Half-Life Advanced Effects menu and throw Dom a few pennies,
really not needed.
A few dollars. Someone's got to give you something for the hard work you do, Dom. Guys, if you like these interviews, you know what to do. Subscribe, comment, like, please, and tell me who you want me to have on next. I've got a lot of cool people coming up, and I think you're going to like it. But Dom, say bye to everybody, and once again, thank you so much for all of your hard work. And
goodbye.
Goodbye, and we'll see you in the next video.